It's just so exciting.
It's so exciting. I'm so excited right now.
This is such a great game. We are in an era that where the Doctor can be anyone, played by anyone. I do feel welcomed. I do feel welcomed because I'm making the conscious choice to concentrate on the love and the positivity.
Yeah.
But I'm aware that there is hate out there, and when you get like a changing of the guard, I guess, if that's the right phrase to use, like there's gonna be that's gonna be
Everyone
there.
has an opinion.
Then if you're aware of that, then why say stuff like this? Sometimes I regret having stuff suggested to me, but when the ratings for Doctor Who fell, everyone began talking about it. And there's a lot of people on Reddit wondering why the show was not doing as well. There are people who read entertainment news, normies as well, and apparently they're okay with taking the advice to not watch something. So apparently, Shirigawa, the new Doctor, had said, don't watch, turn off the TV, go touch grass, please, for God's sake. As the world darkens, and I do think the world is darkening around queer rights, there's a joy and a celebration, and there's community. I feel like anyone that has a problem with someone who's not a straight white man playing this character, you're not really truly a fan of the show. You've not been watching, because the show's about regeneration, and the Doctor's an alien. Why would they only choose to be this sort of person? Okay, but then why would you only make it about that, though? Like, when you're constantly talking about queer this, queer that, black this, black that, you don't give people a chance to just embrace you as you are past those things.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't or
Today?
cannot? Yeah.
No, you don't. No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Just put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
Yeah. You know, I said, and it's probably getting me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, but it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about races because of the news cycle, it's in the news, but sometimes I get so tired of talking about it, I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is the problem we have.
Black History Month you find ridiculous.
Why? You're going to relegate Black History to a month? Oh, come on, what do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, come on. Tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
I wonder how we got from this to this.
Oh, you must be so glad to be in New York. The South is so racist. The South is so racist. Oh, you mean the part of the South that starts at Canada and ends at Mexico? Find me a part of America that's not racist. I'll move today. I'll wait.
Was Isaac Newton hot? He was, wasn't he? He was so hot.
It's like nowadays everyone is so obsessed with surface level features of their identity that they make it their religion that you're just ruled by those things. And there's a few things I want to talk about with that because I like what Morgan Freeman said. And I think that this push to be whittled down to what you look like in terms of your skin color, how much melanin you have, and who you choose to snack on while in the privacy of your room has taken full front stage to the point where we're now losing the message that the people have gone by in our grandparents and parents' times have fought so hard to keep strong so that we could have the future that we have now to be able to speak freely about stuff like this. And we're pushing it back. That's why I usually talk about it, because I know it's funny because Morgan's like, don't talk about it. But I think it's important to remind people not to talk about it. Isn't that weird? Like, you have to talk about it to tell people not to talk about it or to try and redirect, because it's not doing any of us any favors. And obviously everyone just sitting quiet while everybody else magnifies the issue isn't working. And that's why I try to bring up back those clips. You have to have that communication with someone to say, hey, could you stop calling me this? Could you stop calling that person that? They're more than just the color of their skin. Can we stop caring whether or not a character in a video game doesn't have your pronoun? Like, if I play as a video game character who's a boy, I'm not gonna lose my shit because it's a story in which I am playing an imaginary character for that story. When we write our stories, us writers, we can write as anything. other than ourselves. You don't always have to see yourself in something. And the people that you see on TV don't always have to look like you for you to empathize with them. That's very bigoted if you cannot look at someone who doesn't look like you and empathize with them just based on their superficial differences. That's weird. But anyway, so I don't know if the drop in ratings people are talking about on Reddit, I don't know if the drop in ratings for Doctor Who was because Sheedy Gatwa was like, go touch grass, which is an actually very good idea. It's a good advice for people, but I don't think that for the showrunners and the actors, it's good for them to say that. Nothing screams, we don't have faith in our product, like, yeah, you know what, don't come to our shop and buy our stuff, because actually there's much better things you could be doing than being in our shop and buying our product. So we're also in this era that apparently TV isn't made for the audience anymore. It's made for the showrunners and the movie creators and all their friends. It's this dick petting competition to see whose skin feels the most velvety under their shorts. And as they're rubbing their schlongs together and whatnot, they're patting each other on the back, saying, don't you like how stiff mine's getting? And the audience is like, okay, I thought we're supposed to be watching sci-fi. What the frick is going on right now? You audience members, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And then they just drop to their knees and start blowing each other to smithereens while the audience is scratching their heads. And then they're like, if you don't like it, don't watch. The audience is like, oh, you know, that's a good idea. Because this just took a freaking left turn up God knows where. Didn't sign up for this, so I'm going to go over there. And the audience is leaving. And these people don't realize that they've lost all... They're still like, you know, like still on each other, ingesting their towers of narcissism. And then when they finally take a breath after they're all done with having each other for dinner, they now realize that the room is empty. And now they're like, that's horrible. How could they do that to us? Like, I don't mean to laugh, but it's kind of funny. And I don't know if the ratings dropped because of that. Let's see what some people are saying on Reddit. This is a chill video. So one person's like, surprised that although the 2023 specials did well, they did not maintain over the seat. Why are you surprised? The specials were awful. Specifically the one I did a review on, where they're lecturing the Doctor. First of all, they're retconning his sexuality and throwing sexuality in people's faces all the time. It's like gay people can't just be gay people. And now all of a sudden, something that was so past what the Doctor identified as or what people know him as, all of a sudden you're retconning it. By the way, it was always under the surface, mate. Like, come on, bro. Really? Really? And then you have him with that awful... I'm not even going to show it again because I'm just sick... I'm honestly sick and tired of seeing it, to be honest. But then you have the trans character. I don't know if it's the first time we have... I don't think it's the first trans representation, but it's the first recent one. And instead of letting Rose just be a person, okay, past the initial thing of the guys picking on her or whatever, now you have to make her the entire episode about that. How do you know that's what the meep is? You're a male-presenting Time Lord, but you were male-presenting not long ago either. So, I mean, if he puts on a dress and says he's female, now he'll understand?
It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. She'd have understood.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
In that moment, the Doctor should have just said, you know what, I identify as a woman now. What would they have said in that regard? Because it's very confusing. You said he's presenting as male. I'm still trying to unpack that. He's presenting as male. So if he suddenly decides, okay, I'm a woman, do they then take back the statement of, it's a shame you're not a woman anymore, because now he has identified as a woman. Does understanding come immediately when he now presents as a woman? Like, the whole thing was so fucking weird, and I don't think it was an appropriate insertion in Doctor Who in that moment. It was just so from out of left field, and it came off as very preachy. And now we only look at Rose, like where I looked at Rose before, like I liked Rose and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. It's a sweet character. I actually am starting to like her until she's like, yeah, she and her mom were like, you don't know anything and we know everything. Oh my God.
Wrapped around your cortex.
Yes, we know.
We know everything. Thanks.
And you know nothing. It's a shame you're not a woman anymore.
Like, bro, ew. that would turn off anyone. That turned me off. And it was fine. And then they just concluded the whole thing like that with a stupid ass wheelchair bitch looking at him like, You know, I would tell her to sit down, but like that whole thing was just so distasteful that it made me fucking mad. And I could understand people watching the specials, why they would feel that. And yet people are surprised that it didn't maintain. Like, if you brought back someone's favorite character and then you have these other new characters / old characters bitching at them and talking down to them and retconning the character, why would you stick around? Like, imagine Jurassic Park if they came back and did that with Alan Grant or something. I would be so mad. I'd be like, are you... What? It's not like he was like that from the beginning. Now you retcon him to prove a point. It just felt like a weird ass self-insert of insecurity. I don't know what was going on with that. But I can tell you that maybe that's why some people left. This other person replies by saying, which is what people said would happen. The idea that some people had that Tenet would retain viewers and got was silly. It doesn't matter how good season 14 is. The viewers who dipped during Tenet Smith aren't interested in coming back full time. They got 3 more episodes and went, okay, cool, and aren't sticking. Well, the part of that is because they also used David Tennant as a marketing ploy with, well, they didn't have any interest in keeping him around long term. They were doing it to try and bring people in because they didn't have faith in the new Doctor. Let's just say it as it is. This person thinks that they did stick around, and it's funny watching everybody scratch their heads, not knowing what the frick is going on. Someone says this seems surprisingly and disappointingly low. This is far lower than most of Whittaker's run, and I'm not sure why, because the promotion has been a lot better. The hype seems to have been bigger, the enjoyment has seemed to be a lot higher too, but these are some of the lowest figures ever, with only really Legend of Sea Devils being lower. Is it because iPlayer figures are hard to determine how many people are watching? So if 5 people are watching the same laptop, it counts as 1 person? Or is it genuinely people who are not interested in this new era, which would surprise me as it seems to have way more interest than the previous era did? Just because you're marketing something heavily doesn't mean that people are going to watch it, especially if you're not marketing it well. Then if people tune in and then don't like what they see, and then they watch the interviews and, you know, because if you watch the show, you're naturally probably going to get suggested articles if you're signed up to that stuff, like most of us are on our phone. We have that little tab on the part of our phone that shows us news and stuff. You're probably going to get stuff relating to the show suggested to you. And then you see the actors basically talking down to you and telling you, yeah, if you don't like what you've seen, even though it was very distasteful in the way we executed it, go away. Just fuck off. Okay. And they did that. But something tells me the fact that people here in the Gallifrey subreddit are not putting 2 and 2 together, or they're just completely oblivious, means that maybe the showrunners and the cast members are so far up their own very large racehorse-shaped asses that they don't realize it either. And I find it funny that the people who are like, oh, yay, queer rights, queer this, they don't come out in droves to support this stuff. They'll be like, oh, representation, cool, cool, cool. All right, on to the next thing that actually has substance. Most gay people or queer people don't care about that shit, especially when you're making it solely about that, which a lot of the interviews I've now looked at and the articles, the way that they're marketing it, the way that they are showcasing it, it feels like it's less about the sci-fi and more about that, because then people amplify it to be about queerness, which is great. Queerness has always been in Doctor Who. I don't know where these people are coming from, where they think that queer representation has never been in Doctor Who. It's always been in Doctor Who, so I don't get where this thing is coming from. People think it's losing some of its cultural staying power. No, it's just that it's no longer substance. The same way you're scratching your heads, or the same reason the people who were fans, long-standing fans of the show, are probably scratching their heads and wondering why the writing sucks in a lot of the newer episodes, the Jodie Whittaker run and the specials. And I think that Ncuti Gatwa didn't even get a chance because the way they set him up for failure is just ridiculous.
And it is our show. It's a British show. It's part of our family. And you don't want to let the family down. So, yeah, I was very nervous to kind of keep this beloved, sacred thing beloved and sacred.
I think it's a lot of things, but surely telling off your audience isn't the right move. I'm pretty sure the audience knows that they can just turn it off if they don't like what they see, or if the stories aren't doing it for them anymore. However, when people are passionate about something, they're going to speak up about it. You want them to, because it continues giving you eyes You have a chance to address those things. But when you straight up tell them to leave because you have no interest in discussing these issues the fans sometimes warrantedly have, nor do you have any interest in improving the quality of your writing, then yeah, you're basically telling them, yeah, there's no chance that things are going to get better or that you're going to hold yourself accountable for providing quality stories that don't break the lore or consistency of their much-loved franchise. Everything feels surface level and manufactured and like bare bones now, and I think people can feel that. And since I've come back to this Doctor Who, which I said I would give a chance, the only episode I've liked up until this point was the one that I just did a review on with Mofat, episode 3. That still had its issues. Oh yeah, and the Devil's Cord, which honestly the best thing about that was the villain. Concept wasn't so bad either, but the villain really made it. But the ending was... I did a review for that as well. That had its issues, but what I mean to say is that the third episode felt so much like Doctor Who. I think that was the episode that has had the highest quality in terms of writing and presentation since Doctor Who has returned, at least this Doctor Who. Like I said, I could be biased because I love Stephen Moffat's work and the specific themes that he presents, namely sci-fi horror.
Sense to shoot these 5 pages, then the next 5 pages, then 8 pages, then great big chunks all in order. And it was such a... And that just shows her mastery and her skill. That's Julianne's talent. Have the nerve to do that.
Longer.
Longer? Give us 6?
Yeah.
Done. No problem at all.
I thought it
The one thing I hadn't done in Doctor Who was do pure suspense.
What are you talking about, bro? That's your game. What do you mean? That's what you're known for. I love how he looks like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We went to a place called Paris Mountain with Phil Simms, and we thought about shooting some of the scenes up there.
Anne Robinson, Julie Ann Robinson. She was amazing. She was the director. I was wondering who the director was. She was a freaking badass. That episode was wonderfully directed. Wow, I'm so impressed. I'm gonna look around to see what else she does. But anyway. But mainstream media has become so vapid now that I think people are just tired. Everyone's doing the bare minimum, no one's trying to stand out, and then if the audience dares to challenge you on that and tell you, look, we have more stuff available to us, how about a little bit higher quality and I'll spend my money? They're told to go touch grass, or they're told not to watch, or they're told to F off, which is a very interestingly weird sales tactic nowadays. Anywho, regular old people are gonna see that negativity and be like, okay, this is a very toxic environment, so I'm just gonna bounce. Obviously, this show's not for me anymore when the showrunners are like, screw off. And call me crazy, but maybe people are just tired of that. And that's okay, because the only one who really gets affected by that on a physical, financial level are the people who want people to watch their show. Crazy.